You ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila MacShow, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila MacShow, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest, Jill Tarlacio. She is
Talarico.
I should have. Oh,
worse. So.
the best. And she is an educator with 30 years of experience in public education as an elementary and middle school science teacher, library media specialist, and professional that understands the success of our educational system that depends on supporting teachers and helping them restore a healthy work-life balance and reclaim their time. Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome to the show, Jill.
Thanks, Sheila.
And this show actually came about based on my new best-selling book, which is over there, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And we've had situations that we couldn't even imagine before 2020 show up. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to start by asking if you have a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation, and if you could share with the audience how you got back on track.
I did have a tough situation deciding whether or not to leave my teaching position. I had this vision of starting this company where I would help the teachers that were surrounding me who were burned out and unhappy in their position. And I was trying to do both at the same time. I was trying to teach full time and I was trying to start this company. And being a teacher, you come home, you're exhausted. I had no energy to put into my vision of these retreats and empowerment workshops for teachers. So I had to make the difficult decision to step away from my teaching job, which trust me, took a lot of thinking about and a lot of negotiating and a lot of, you're going to be okay. You lose the job security. I walked away from the full pension, but I knew that I had to do it. So, and started from the bottom, and here I am today.
Yes. And that's something that when you have a purpose and a calling greater, it's often that it gets easier. It's not hard to make those shifts, although at first it is scary,
terrifying.
It's more like the mind over matter thing, but then everything unfolds and things show up in perfect time. And so that's something I remember teaching myself years ago, and my first teaching position was really first graders. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the toughest audience I've ever had to speak in front of in my life. I'll let you know in a second. So once you finish working with children, life is easier working with adults.
It really is. You're ready for any situation because you have to be ready for any situation in the classroom.
Yeah.
Your best laid plans can disappear in smoke in minutes.
And as a teacher, you've got to deal with the children and work with all your children plus the parents and their circumstances and situations, extended family, whatever's going on. So you become this counselor in a way. There's so many positions. You wear a million hats.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you don't get paid as much as we should.
No.
As teachers. No. The pay isn't there for sure.
Not even close.
So, yeah. So it has to be something that your heart brings you to teach and work with children.
Yeah. And the hardest thing is in this situation, what's happening in the country now with the teacher shortage, I felt the guilt of leaving the profession. but I knew that in order to keep, I've done 30 years, so I knew that in order to keep these younger teachers in the profession and to keep good teachers in the profession, that they need help, they need support. And that's what I want to do. I want to help them, give them hope to have a sustainable career in teaching.
Yes. So now, can you give me an example of how your events or programs work? What does it look like for a teacher to be part of your program?
So right now I'm focusing on weekend retreats because I think teachers also need to just walk away from school, and from home, all the responsibilities at home. So we have weekend retreats starting on the East Coast now, hopefully moving them across the country and hopefully internationally eventually. But we focus on 4 workshops where we focus on setting boundaries. Like, why do you need boundaries? What's holding you back from setting boundaries at school and setting boundaries at home? Mm-hmm. And so I know that I can't fix the education system right now, but I know that I can hopefully give them tools that when they go back home, they can set boundaries and make their life a little bit easier and have more time for themselves.
That sounds really good. Boundaries are important, and it is something you grade, you do all this work after work that you don't get paid for. I mean,
it's never ending.
When you calculate how much you get per hour, really, it's quite lower than what you expect.
Yeah, and as teachers, we're caregivers, we're people pleasers, we're perfectionists. So all of those things stop us from setting healthy boundaries. So we need to learn to work around those and protect ourselves.
So true. See, now I adopted 3 children, had 3 of my own, and I was teaching. I did work in the public schools for about 5 years, and then I ended up becoming a Waldorf teacher, and because some of my kids needed that, and the cost was very high to go to these different schools, you know, and so then they got to go free if I taught there.
Perfect.
So it wasn't much, but all the kids transitioned to that educational system, and then all the parents would bring their kids to play with my kids at my house because I was a safe, trusted teacher. So it was like I'd go home and it would be another classroom. It was my own children.
Boundaries.
And it was definitely, it was beautiful for my kids to have that. And I preferred to have the children play at my house. That I knew what was going on and that they're safe and that, but at the same time there was a lot of boundaries that I had to put in place. Certain days that nobody can come over, and I took weekends. A couple times a year I would do a spa vacation trip with other teachers and friends, and we would go the ladies spa. It was like a ladies spa wellness center that closed, the Oaks at Ojai.
Oh, sounds lovely.
We would go there every year for probably 20 years. We went every single year, a couple times a year. And it would be where we would do the planning, and it would be kind of the teacher planning stuff, but then we would just have fun and
wonderful
care for health and renew that. I mean, it was like known that if I went missing, I would be
Well, congratulations, because so many teachers don't carve that time out for themselves. They feel guilty about taking that time away from their families or their job. And I don't know what that feeling of guilt of just taking care of yourself. So to help them understand that that's also part of your job, is to take care of yourself.
Yes. So part of what you're creating is also just getting out of the environment by having retreats, small retreats. So that's really unique. Now, how has that affected things with all the restrictions and last couple of years?
This is actually my first ones are coming up.
Okay.
So I haven't had them yet. So I did wait until after COVID because I knew that it wasn't the right time, and I knew people wouldn't be comfortable, and I didn't want to put people in an uncomfortable situation. So we are now starting to open them back up again. So
oh, wow.
Looking forward to them.
Yes, because it's needed more now than ever.
Sorry to interrupt. one of your things is no listeners left behind. Well, mine is no teachers left behind, because I actually have like almost survivor's guilt about leaving my colleagues behind in that situation, because it's getting worse. It's not getting any better for our teachers these days. So I have like this guilt about like, I have to go, I have to help them every way that I can. So I am going to branch out to workshops, professional development in schools, online classes, just to help them create a little bit of, balance in their lives and increase their happiness with their job. Because we all went into teaching with that love for teaching and helping children, and it gets buried under all of the other things.
Right. Teacher burnout is real.
It is real.
So how can teachers listening in, maybe new teachers or those that have been in the teaching industry for a while, what do you suggest that they can do to help dealing with all the different changes and the regular job of teaching? What is something that can help get through this time?
I think it is all about those healthy boundaries, and not have a saying, you pay now or you pay later. Setting boundaries can be a little bit painful at first, because people are used to you saying yes to everything. And so you might ruffle some feathers at the beginning of setting the boundaries, but it will get easier when people keep hearing the message that, no, that's not for me right now, or no, I don't have time for that right now. Because if you don't set those boundaries now, you will pay later in your physical, mental, and emotional health. So the little bit of pain at the beginning will actually pay off for you in the long run.
That's so true. I remember when I was writing my book, let me tell you, this is a whole year process that it took me to write this book. And I had to say no to so many, living in Beverly Hills and there's so many networking events, and I consult with Keller Williams right there. So there's all these parties and open house socials and all these things to do. And I'd have to say no so often. Stop calling and asking. Stop asking me. I'd have to literally set the boundary of, okay, I will go 2 nights a week. You can go Beverly Hills, you can go 7 nights a week. You can go out. And it's really business networking and socializing and with clients and this and that, but you can definitely be out there. And I had to say no to everything and everyone in order to get the work done. It would not be done. It would still be one of those, how people, you talk to them and they're writing a book, and then 10 years later, they're still writing the book. Well, this is why, because of that boundary. No question. It was really hard for me, because I love my people and my friends. So, and I wanted, I had this goal of serving more people. How can I do that? So that was the bigger yes.
Yeah, that is keeping that bigger picture in mind. Absolutely. I'm finding that too, as a new entrepreneur. I'm signing up for all of these workshops and these classes. And eventually I was like, whoa, you can only, first of all, take in so much information about starting a business. And second of all, you don't have time to actually work on your business because you're signing up for all of these classes.
Exactly. Now, when you were going back to when you were a young girl yourself, what led you to teaching? What was it that brought you to that career?
I grew up in a family of teachers. So that was just part of our DNA, was just to help others, to be teachers, to work with kids. I always liked kids. I loved babysitting when I was, a teenager. And then it was just like a natural transition into the teaching profession.
Okay.
And I'm always curious, and I love learning myself. I'm still always taking classes. So I just wanted to share that with students.
Oh, yes. That makes so much. I learned so much when I was teaching, because I always had to study things over again. I don't remember what I learned in 4th grade. We did through the grades. So you teach 1st through 8th. So there's things you kind of forget. They're not that important, and so you have to relook them up and study what's new. And I enjoyed every moment of that. It was there's this saying that when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And the
Uh-huh.
other side of that is when the teacher's ready, the student will appear. And our students are our greatest teachers because they're bringing to you things that you need to see and hear at that moment. They're questioning what's going on in the world right now in a way, in an innocence and in a way that we've kind of forgot. It reminds us. So I just, it is very important.
Yeah, and I think too, what I've learned over my years of teaching too is that it's okay to not know everything, because you don't have to be the expert. And I'm totally okay with saying, like, I don't know this. Let's look it up together. Let's learn about it, together.
How did we live without Google as children? How did we figure anything out? Now you can
don't know.
Google anything and everything. It is fascinating how that is. So our kids are smarter in a different kind of a way. I mean, we can make a mistake and they will Google it and they will let you know. They will call you on it.
Yeah, absolutely. The hardest part now is teaching them to make sure their information is correct.
Yes.
Online.
That is so interesting. So now, what is your first event then coming up?
My first event is coming up the weekend of April 28th to April 29th, I'm sorry, to May 1st. It's a Friday to Sunday. It's at the beach on a beautiful old Victorian historic home. And it's kind of like a bed and breakfast feel, and that's in Seattle City, New Jersey.
Nice.
And we take care of everything. We take care of all the linens, the towels, all the food. So you can just come and take a deep breath and relax and enjoy.
Now, is there like a schedule throughout the day as far as like workshops or teachings or?
Yeah, there's a schedule, but it's absolutely flexible. If you want to come and just sleep the entire weekend, then you come and just sleep the entire weekend. Okay. But there are two workshops on Saturday and 2 on Sunday.
Okay.
And then there are big pockets of free time in there, though, so that you can learn with the balance of rest.
That sounds nice. That's really nice. Now, for those listening in that are parents, moms and dads, and you taught for quite a few years, how can parents help? What is the best way that they can help teachers?
I think the best way is to trust the teachers. Like, we've been trained in teaching, we've been trained in education, and also we're not out to get you or get your child. Like, we are out there to help your child every single day. And the message that we deliver might not be exactly the message that you want to hear, but it is a message that, trust me, it's not easy to deliver messages that are difficult for both the teacher and the parent to hear. But we're doing it out of care and concern, and we wouldn't bring it up and we wouldn't put the time and energy into it if we didn't do it because we wanted to help the child.
Yes.
Not just trust us. We're in it together. I think that's the thing that's become almost combative, teachers against parents. And we need to be in it together to help the children.
Yeah, that's so true. I remember my experience on the mom side of things before I got into teaching. I had a grandparent. My grandmother came down with Alzheimer's and she moved in with us. And my children started preschool, like pre-K. And it was a Montessori pre-K up the street. And it was really nice. And they were like, we're kind of open and you just go and do your little work job. And I thought, okay, cool. And I didn't realize they were strict on like time. Because it was a flow open Monday. And grandma at the same time was running away in the morning. So she was running to the store nearby and she would steal chocolates.
Oh no. Well, at least it was chocolates.
And so we had this whole thing and we'd pay the guy and then we had to get more care for her at a certain point because it was difficult.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the principals it was the husband and wife that were the principals. So it was two. And they called me into the office and they said, we had a situation happen this week where we called your daughter into the office. This pre-K little girl, and we called her into the office and we asked her, why is she late all the time? And what can she do about it? And she slammed her hand down and she said, do I look like I have a driver's license? I don't drive. talking to the wrong person. And they started laughing, and they said, "Oh, you're right. We're talking to the wrong person."
She's brilliant. And I know some teachers would be like, "That's disrespectful. I want her in my class. That's the kid I want in my class."
It was so frustrating, between having this grandmother home that repeated herself, Alzheimer's or something going on, and then having them question her, and she was like, I was ready at 8 in the morning or 7 or whatever it is. And they just went and did their adult things, and I couldn't drive. I'm telling you. And then they
sounds like she could have had a driver's license and she would have been okay.
She would have gotten there. If she had a way, she would have gotten there on time. And so and she's always been on time ever since. I mean, this is just her. She has been like that. And so sometimes it's the parents aren't helping the children in one way or the other. I mean, honestly, I thought it was flex. I honestly didn't know we had you must be here by X time. And so like, this is perfect because we got grandma. So we just drop them off and they just start doing their thing because it's open play. It's not, it was like daycare, but to me, I didn't.
Yeah.
So it was both. It was a misunderstanding in both. And we figured it out and we were good. But so part of it is communication.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought I was good. I was like, "Hey, teachers, here we are."
Yeah. We made it.
I was like, and it's family. And I was like, great. I was
myself on the back.
Yeah, it was great. I was like, this is the coolest school. And that was it. So I didn't even know. And it was a learning, but it also is. I remember when I did start teaching where the students would have the parents do the homework. And I'm like, okay, your dad does. We worked, the first place I worked at was near Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Oh, that's neat.
Okay. So of course the dad is a rocket scientist that works and the science project in 2nd grade, and you build a rocket little mini thing that can fly. And I'm like, no, I know this child. He can't put anything together. He did not do that, Dad. But you get an A.
Yeah.
And it was just the cutest thing because the dad was so proud. Yep, he did it. And I'm like, what did you do? Watch you do it. So
there is a clear distinction between the projects that are done by the student and the ones that are done by the parents. Absolutely.
Yes. So but it's kind of a disservice.
Absolutely.
In so many ways, the message that we give our children, if we do it for them, I mean, there's guiding them and helping them and assisting with homework to this, tutoring maybe or something like that. But then doing it for them where it's the message is, I don't have confidence in you that you can do something.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it also adds to perfectionism. Like everything you do has to be perfect. And absolutely disservice to them.
Yeah. I had another little kid that packed his own lunch one day, and in the lunch he brought a beer. And I didn't even know what beer was. It was like, what is that, honey? Let me see that.
Is that for the teacher? Let me take that for you.
So, and it was just, you never know. Well, if you haven't been shown how to pack your own lunch, you just grab the cold beer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love that to an extent. Like, you make your own lunch. That's brilliant. But maybe put the beer on a higher shelf where you can't.
Yes. So there, you get to learn a lot, and you have some laughter along the way for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, do you have a wait list for your events, or how do people get started? How do they, if you're going to sign up for something like this, how does that work?
I have 2 sites for the 2 different retreats. There's one at the beach and there's one in the Poconos, nestled in beautiful pine trees. So if you're a beach or a mountain person, there's something for everyone.
Oh, wow.
And they're at websites. For the beach retreat, it's teacherbeachretreat.splashthat.com. EmpowerEDU.com. And the mountain retreat is May 13th. It's in Pocono Pines, Pennsylvania, which is easily accessible from New York, Philadelphia, even DC. And that is teacherpoconosretreat.splashthat.com. And my full website is coming soon.
Okay. Yes. Websites, they're a build. There's something to build.
Yeah, and I'm trying to release the perfectionist in me because, of course, I'm trying to do it perfectly. And I'm like, okay, doesn't have to be perfect. You want to lead by example. You put it out there, and you can fix it as you go.
Exactly. Well, that's great. Now, what advice would you give for somebody who is looking to send their child to school and wants to really help a kid that might be struggling in an area? How would you best help your child?
I think you have to determine what the struggle is. What's the basis of the struggle? Is there something deeper, maybe a learning disability? Is it they're not interested in the topic? I think you have to really dig deep and figure out what it, because you address all problems differently. Once you figure out what the underlying issue is, then you can take a look at, okay, what strategies can we use to help this child be more successful? But you can't just keep throwing random strategies at them, hoping one of them sticks. I think that you have to really spend the time, and it does take time to look at really where the root of the issue is, what the challenges are.
Right. That makes sense. And how about if there's a bullying? How did you deal with the bullying, if there was any over the years? How did you deal with that?
I think my theory has changed over time. Unfortunately, we're never going to eradicate the bullying problem because it's everywhere. It's not taught in school. We don't teach kids how to bully. It comes from outside and they bring it in. So a lot of the times it was just sitting down the students and having a talk about empathy and imagine how they felt, and having the student who was being bullied, if they were willing to share how they felt. And I think when they could see the hurt, the pain that was being caused by the bullying, I'm hoping that some of the students who were the perpetrators would actually say, okay, this is really hurting somebody else. And I think that they think it's just, kids just brush it off, but it's deeper than that. And we had someone come in that would teach about bullying every year, and they did this great activity where they made a big person out of paper. Every time that she threw bullying comments or did something, she ripped a piece of paper off of the person and ripped it into tiny little pieces. And then she said, she put it back together, but she said, you see, there's still tears.
Yeah.
There's still, it leaves a mark, it leaves a scar. So, understanding that words can hurt, and even the little, well, we were just kidding, like that can really hurt a child.
Yes. So, and it's funny how you will see that the parents will be like the adults. Like you'll get the little group of parents that pick on the other parent, and the little group of kids that are the sons or daughters, and they do the same. So it is learned at home. And if you have somebody, a child that's really expressing violence, it's something to be concerned about their safety. Because a lot of times there's something not safe. How would you just hit if you've never been hit? How are you really physically hurting people?
Yeah.
And so it is important to look at the cause, and it's often an expression or a cry for help.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to look at, every time you look at that behavior, you can trace it back to some kind of trauma, some kind of trauma that child has experienced.
Yeah. I mean, I raised these 6 beautiful kids, and you ask every single one of them what I did wrong as a mom. And
they'll have a list.
How can I mess you all up in 6 different ways?
But I'm sure if you asked them to make a list of what you did right, there would be a long list of that.
Exactly. So as parents, it's again that perfection. Like it's not always going to be perfect. There's going to be situations as teachers, as parents, that our kids are going to have to deal with, that will actually bring them strength and give them growth opportunities that they don't have. And part of modeling that as a teacher or as a parent, a lot of us teachers are parents as well. So is to have the time to go and take care of yourself, the self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And it always was really an important lesson that I took that time to do my spa trips, my getaways. Um, it was like you have permission to take care of yourself when you need to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I spent hours in a playpen growing up, and I turned out okay. At least I think I'm all right. Put it in the playpen, you were fine.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I don't think I even had a playpen, but I did have a baby bobcat that my dad rescued that slept with me.
Oh, that's
Now,
adorable.
he didn't eat me. I mean, like we had a pet Gibbons ape that would pull my hair. Talk about a bully. That thing did not like me. It was jealous. I remember 3 years old, I'd say try to have a tea party with the little, her name was Goldie because she was a golden, and she would pull my hair and I would still forgive her and love her and chase after her like little kids do.
That's the other part. Like, you're not going to be perfect. So, but I still love you. That's the message that I think a lot of kids are missing. And that's a message that parents are missing. And it's a message that teachers are missing. Like, we're just human. Teachers are just human. We can't do everything. Like, you're forgetting that we have feelings and we have families and we have a life of our own, and we're just human, and we're just trying to do the best that we can.
Yes. I think that's it. When you are giving a child care and you show that care is coming from your heart, it's not perfection, but when they know that the intention for their best good is there, those kids can feel it, and even if they're struggling in something, they will put their effort in because maybe their parents are busy, but somebody's there. And that's what the teacher is this holding this space during that educational time that's so important. And it makes a difference in somebody's life. One teacher can make an entire difference in a life.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I remember my teacher that changed my life. So I think we all have one that somehow led us to where we are now. I mean, they all had a part in it, but we all have that special one teacher.
Definitely. Now we are coming to the end of our talking time, but what I'm going to do is at the end of this, I will do another share of the websites that will come on and for those listening in and for those viewing. And so that will come on next. And I appreciate you being a guest on the show, and I look forward to hearing about your event.
Sounds like we have a lot in common. So maybe we can connect on other things.
Well, you have your event in Beverly Hills or LA, California.
Someday. I'm coming.
Just let me know and I'll help you set it all up.
Awesome. Thanks, Sheila.
All right. Thank you again. And for those tuning in, stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila MacShow here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. You can also find me on YouTube under Sheila MacShow for prior recordings. And I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to this special guest and sponsor of this episode, and that is EmpowerEDU. Now, there are a couple of retreats for teachers, that's right, specifically for teachers that are coming up soon. So to learn more about them, go to beachretreat.splashthat.com. And there, if you want to find out about the beach retreat, you can also find out about the other mountain retreat in the Poconos by contacting the sponsor there. Again, go to beachretreat.splashthat.com to learn more.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila MacShow here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. You can also find me on YouTube at Sheila MacShow. Now, I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to the sponsors of this episode, one of which is Valdo Shavers, and that is spelled WLDOHO. They can be found at valdo.com, and they are your new eco-friendly razor that shaves better than any conventional razor and is 100% plastic free. There are so many benefits to shaving without the plastic. No more skin irritation and shaving pimples. It saves you money. You can save up to $350 in 5 years or more. You save 5 years of blade supply and costs only 25 cents per piece. And it closes the circle of life by planting trees. So much to share about. I've actually received a sample of the Valdo razors, and it is an incredibly close smooth shave. So, what is a safety razor? There was this myth long ago that safety razors weren't safe, but the reality is that they are actually more safe for you and better for you and the environment. Now, these should be used for wet shaving. Today, the safety razor not only celebrates its return to the bathroom, but is the perfect alternative to avoid plastic waste. Why a safety razor from Valdo? We know safety razors from our grandparents. Today, we are trying to revive forgotten traditions while we take care of our planet. The Valdo single blade razor is skin friendly and cost saving. Why is the single blade system so good? When you use more than one blade, you can remove part of your skin. Plus, you need to pass several times to get rid of every hair, and this is exactly what causes shaving irritations. It has long ceased to be a purely male thing, and it is made perfectly suitable now for women. It is a high-quality, plastic-free piece that is something to be proud of in your bathroom. Think about this. We've all seen in the gray corners of the shower at least one plastic razor standing out by itself, and when we have visitors, it's the first thing we hide. So finally, we can leave our razors in plain sight. The designs at Valdo have won a couple of awards in Germany already for their aesthetic sophistication. Together with Valdo, you will also protect the environment. Their products are synonymous with aesthetics, zero waste, and quality. Why do they do what they do at Valdo? Their vision is that sustainable and aesthetic products are accessible for everyone worldwide at a fair price. They know that sustainability improves everyone's life and the world overall. Every single person deserves to have a plastic-free razor in their bathroom and experience an irritation-free shave. Valdo wants to inspire people to change their habits by closing the consumption cycle with their eco-friendly products, creating more responsibility and awareness. So if you go to valdo.com, spelled WLDOHO.com, and when you went to go purchase, type in the word podcorn, PODCORN, you will receive 10% off on your first purchase. So I hope you enjoy. Happy shaving. Lifestyle design. Instead of starting out with a rock bottom moment and ending with that person's moment of empowerment, we are going to compare the lives of two women. The life of Anne. Anne was very athletic growing up. As a young adult, she was active and healthy and loved to exercise. She helped rescue animals, volunteering at the local shelter to share her love with those animals. Then she got married and had kids. Anne gave up a lot of her passions and the things that made her happy in order to please everybody else. Her husband is allergic to animal dander, so she couldn't have pets at home, and she gradually stopped going to the shelter too. She didn't stay as active as she'd been when she was single. She said yes to all her friends, doing anything they asked her to. She cared for a lot of people, but she didn't set boundaries. Anne's days were long and busy, full, but not fulfilling. Anne had a vision of how she wanted her life to look, but she woke up one day and realized that she was living a very different life. Eventually, Anne's health failed. She developed many health issues because she had stopped eating healthy foods, exercising, and taking time to rest her mind. She spent a lot of money on health care instead of spending time staying healthy. When she really needed people to help her, she didn't know how to ask. Some of her friends had more boundaries than Anne, so they said no to her requests, even though in the past she had helped them move or with accounting or babysitting. People weren't willing to give as much as she had, so she was at a loss. And with some of the people in her life who did want to reciprocate, Anne wasn't able to be vulnerable or gracious enough to receive. Anne is at the point of retiring from a job she doesn't love, and she's physically and financially unable to keep up with her friends and family. She sees her friends doing work they're passionate about and talented at, and it affects her self-worth when she compares her life to theirs. She feels stuck, upset, and resentful, and she's angry with herself for letting life slip by. Anne thought she was doing the right things. She was a good student, a good daughter and sibling, the one who didn't need so much attention. She was taught to put everybody else first, and she's done an amazing job of teaching everybody else to treat her like a doormat. She never filled up her own self, and now she has a very painful void in her life. The life of Barbara. Barbara has designed her life and lives it by her design. She has still done things for other people, but she follows her own definition of happiness and success. Interesting things happened in her childhood, but at some point, she decided that she was going to live life on her terms. Barbara made a lot of mistakes. She tried to live her passion 3 or 4 different times in different ways. It didn't work out at first, but she was determined. At first, she wasn't even sure what that looked like, but she knew it would involve art, dance, and educating children. As it unfolded, she started teaching children to read and created a story time program. Looking back, she laughs about her ups and downs. The determination to live her life and work around her passion and her gifts was considered non-traditional, so she experienced some bumps that made her strong and resilient. Barbara kept solid rituals, routines, and boundaries in place. She eats healthy foods and takes care of herself so she can help other people too. She made her self-care a priority, knowing that she was modeling that for her children. Barbara and Anne are the same age, but Barbara looks much younger because she's healthier and happier. She wakes up in the morning and is excited to go to work. When Barbara looks back at her life so far, she's at peace. She knows she's done her highest good. No part of her feels that she wasted time on things that didn't align with her values. She lives exactly the life she was supposed to, the life she chooses. And she's excited for whatever comes next. You only get one. Anne has lived her whole life based on what other people wanted, whereas Barbara has lived life for herself. And it's still full of love and other people. Which life would you choose? Maybe you choose a little of each. These are extreme examples, so maybe you choose neither. The point is that it's your life and you get to choose what it looks like. Anne didn't choose to design her own life, but it's not too late. It's not over for her. It doesn't matter what your age is. Until you're not here anymore, you can still make a change. the rest of your life can become the best part of your life. All the decisions you make have an impact on your future, on your whole life. They build upon each other. If you don't decide how you're going to live your life, somebody else is going to decide for you, and most people are happy to do that. They're happy to sell you the wrong house so they can make a commission. They're happy to put you in a job you don't like for less pay so you do all the work. But if you're not happy, it's not a blessing. I'm not a Christian Scientist, but Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science movement, said, "Whatever blesses one, blesses all." If you're not happy, or if you're not living your essence, your truth, your life, it's hard for you to send happiness to other people in your life. But when you are happy and using your talents and gifts, there's no competition. There's no ego. You're just connected to everything and everybody in love, and it's beautiful. Everyone has that beauty in them, in the way they're here and who they are. We're all amazing, talented, beautiful, incredible people in our own right. When we try to shift and fit into a mold of who we believe we're supposed to be, the adult who never plays, who goes to work and takes on debt to buy a house, it kills our souls. Every day we lose sight of who we really are. How can you be happy when the most important parts of you are hidden or quieted because you followed somebody else's rules? How many people have felt like they had to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer just because their parents wanted them to, and they're miserable? If they were living their truth, they would be happy, and that's worth even more than money. That allows them to attract the right peer group and a partner who's aligned with their truth. It may sound obvious, but when you're not living your truth, you're living a lie. When that's the case, you may say that you want something, but it doesn't align with you because it's not real. And you can't fake a life and a lie for long. The real you, the beautiful, amazing essence of you, is going to escape every time. Free your soul. It's time to free your soul. Start by figuring out your temperament, talents, and what you really love. You can refer back to the REBOOT activity in Chapter 6 to get started. There are surveys and tests you can take, but you have to be honest with your answers, so honest it may even hurt other people's feelings, like the parents who always dreamed of you becoming a doctor while you wanted to be a cruise ship comedian. Doing this will free your soul to go be who you're really supposed to be. And when you are living the life you're supposed to, you're going to help people in your own way. You're going to live your purpose because that's just who you are. When you're fully living, you're able to fully contribute to society. Although you're doing more self-care, although you're just living your truth and your essence on your terms, you're going to serve far more people. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Finding your truth and designing your life based on that truth and your passion serves a higher purpose and a higher good. It serves humanity far more than doing what you or others believe you're supposed to do. So it's actually the least self-centric thing you could ever do. Sheila's story. When my kids were old enough to go to school, and I was making cash flow from renting out the buildings my stores were in, I decided I wanted to be more involved. I wanted to be there with my children. I'd taught the kids at the store, I'd led classes on safety and training, so I decided to get a teaching certificate to teach in private schools, mostly creative, art-centered schools such as Montessori and Waldorf. It was important to me that they were in this environment that featured learning through story, music, art, and their imaginations. I wanted them to learn languages, handwork, gardening, woodwork, and living through the history of different world cultures instead of just reading about them in textbooks. These private schools emphasize feelings and emotions, and the teachers are empowered to modify learning for each child. This unique standard of education was what I wanted for all my kids, and I wanted to be there too. I had 3 children of my own and 3 foster kids. That adds up to a big tuition cost, but as a teacher, my children would get to go to the school where I taught for free or at a reduced rate. As a teacher, I felt like I got paid to have fun. I even started a tutoring program at my house, so I made a huge career shift from owning and operating stores to teaching, but I still showed up as myself. I was still me, using my capabilities and talents, and I was emotionally ready to make that shift. I wanted to have as much time with my children as I could and be involved in their lives. The fact that I was being paid to be near them and able to contribute to other kids made teaching a natural fit. I was doing life on my terms. I was still getting income from my investment building. I never felt like I worked for somebody else, even when I did, because I was showing up on purpose with a heart, a vision, and a reason. The bonus came when, because I was a teacher, we all had the entire summer off. We were on the same schedule, so I had the summer off, Christmas vacation, spring break. When I was running the store, I didn't take a vacation for 14 years. Now I had the income and time with my kids, so we could go play. We could travel. One summer, we went across the United States visiting all the historical sites. We would read about the Amish and then go see where they lived and learn even more. The culmination of our trip across the country was going to Epcot Center and feeling like we saw the rest of the world. We would study another culture and then go learn about it at Epcot. It wasn't all rides and Mickey Mouse at Disney World. Applying the Boots formula to lifestyle design. Using the Boots formula, you can go from being stuck, saying yes to everyone, to becoming the woman you want to be. Being. Designing your life starts with the first step. Who are you being? That is going to be different for everybody, and once you've done some assessments to find your temperament, talents, and truth, you can look at how you are different from anybody else. Who are you going to be when you show up now? Who do you need to be to truly be the best version of yourself? How are you going to live your essence and truth? You may have a whole life set up around something that is not true to who you are. Now that you are redesigning your life, whether this is your difficult situation or you're doing so after making it through another rock bottom situation, the gift is being able to set a new foundation, but that means knowing who you're going to be. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila MacShow here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I have a special Happy New Year announcement for you. That's right, just for beautiful, authentic you. So in this new year, I am personally plugging in all my 2022 up-leveling routines. That's right, I'm not doing goals, or as much to say as I'm not just doing a resolution that I talk about or just write it down on a list. I'm actually already scheduling in the small acts that I need to do each day that are actually going to bring me results over this 365, I guess, or less now, when you're listening in 363 to whatever it is, days. So at any rate, one of the things that I would like to introduce is that we will be having some talks on business and investing. That's right, business and investing reboots this year. So if you are looking to do a side gig, or you have a business yourself, or you're in a career and you are looking to earn some extra money, I have some tips and different things that my family, I have 6 grown children, we will all be participating in some of these and trying them out and sharing opportunities with you. And then We will also be talking about real estate investing, which is something that I have done since I was very young. So my real estate investing experience comes from, well, when I was 18 and a half years old, I bought my first little triplex. I was already working at Jet Propulsion Lab in JPL in Pasadena, California, where we have the famous Rose Bowl every year right near there. And so I saved up my money and bought this little triplex. It was very humble kind of fixer thing. And I lived in the back teeny tiny unit and rented out the best parts to everyone else. I guess I was house hacking before that was a term. And I continued to save up and invest. I was very creative on my financing, still going to school and working. So, from that to investing in many different properties, I started gift stores at 23. And the first one I leased at $5,000 a month. And I said, wait a minute. That's a lot of money to be giving to somebody, the landlord, every single month. And my mortgage, if I can save up enough to put down, I can get into a mortgage. And you know what? With business credit, which I will be sharing all about, I did just that. And business credit is a magical secret. So if you don't have a side gig, that's why that first part is important with your investing, is to have that extra income or side gig, have an LLC or an S Corp. So setting that up at 23 when I started my gift stores, by the end of the first year, I had more buying power than most people. I had a corporation's buying power. Like, they would give me credit. You can't believe I could just walk into any dealership and they'd have these specials. I'd get the best credit, like 0 interest. I'd be able to negotiate the deals on things, different vans or whatever I needed for the store. And it was just incredible. And I actually used the business credit to purchase some of the properties. One was the headquarters and rental property. And so I had some mixed use, and I actually purchased the other 4 buildings and stopped leasing and just became an owner. And so I got into real estate and investing from being an investor, and then later as other store owners were really interested and wondered, wait a minute, you're half my age, they would say. And how are you buying buildings? What is going on? And so with that, I went ahead and I got my real estate license and started sharing about that. Worked at a small owned brokerage. And then from there, helped and led some real estate courses for real estate agents on 1031 exchange, and have done multiple 1031 exchanges and helped many small business owners and families to invest in property. So I'll be sharing about my journey and how this year, even if you think, this sounds like, how is this possible? I'm going to help you figure out if that's something you're interested in, ways that you can make it become a real possibility for 2022 moving forward. So I hope you tune into my show. There will be some upgrades. We will still be doing lots of incredible interviews with amazing people sharing about resources and reboots and ways they got back on track and hearing their stories. And also we will be getting step-to-step challenges and ways for you to tune in, call in, and ask questions and be guided to actually make 2022 a wonderful time for your business and your personal life. All right, so stay tuned. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.